Welcome into T4G Sports. Today we're going to talk about Michigan sniping or paying for Ohio State's running back coach Tony Alford to leave and become their new running back coach. And I'm going to tell you, I think that he was on the hot seat for Ohio State for multiple years. And I'll tell you why I think that. And save your opinions until after you guys see what I show you here. Okay, I want you guys to see this. And I want you guys to also envision yourself as Ryan Day. Imagine you're the head coach at Ohio State. No other school would have paid you this much money. They're paying you $8 to $10 million a year. Money talks. You want that money. And you're looking over the production of Tony Alford. Would you be happy with this production or would you be nervous with this production? Now, if I was the hiring body for Michigan, there's multiple things I'd be concerned about with Tony Alford with hiring him to be our new running back coach. But what I would be concerned about most is that you lost in-state rival players. You lost Jordan Marshall in this 2024 class. You lost him in the state of Ohio, in your own backyard, to the rival. And hiring him, if he lost a guy that was in his own backyard that he's probably been recruiting since he was in middle school, then what makes you think if you're, from Michigan saying, well, he couldn't land the in-state guys when he was coaching at Ohio State? How is he going to land the in-state guys when he's at Michigan now? I just feel like those two don't go hand in hand. And Donovan Edwards, the other running back, chose Michigan over Tony Alford and Ohio State. And my big thing is I think it was because of Tony Alford and the coaching staff. I don't think that when he looked at it and these running backs looked at it, they said, well, Michigan will give me a better, not just because of how they run their system, but because they're doing more with their running backs. They have more depth than Ohio State does. That's how Michigan could rely on their run game so much, because of that depth, because of what Coach Hart brought them. And if you're losing in-state guys, I just feel like your bread and butter is to try and snag Ohio players. Michigan has done very well with that in the past. They have gotten legendary players from the state of Ohio. They've gotten legendary coaches from the state of Ohio. They have used that state to build their program more than they've used their own state, in my opinion. And so I think if you're going to get a coach from Ohio State, you want to get the one who's the in-state beast, not the guy who's losing them to you. So I want you guys to look at Tony Alford's production in the recruiting trail in the eyes of a business. Okay, don't think of it as a fan, because if you do that, you automatically are going to be hazy with your thought process. Think that you are the head coach at Ohio State, right? And it's a business move. They're the ones paying for your food. You're getting all that money and you're paying for your food with it. You are paying for your bills. It's keeping you alive and you need this job. Now look at your coaching staff around you. Tim Walton, your deep backs coach. Just this year alone in 2025, he's landed the number 1 cornerback in the country, the number 2 cornerback in the country, and the number 10 cornerback in the country in 2025. Okay, the year previously, he landed the 5th best cornerback directly. He was a compete with Michigan. It was complete competition with Michigan, and he won that competition. He also got Bryce West, the 16th best cornerback, and he's landing the best in-state guys, which is a good sign. Tony Alford's not doing that. Okay, you look at Larry Johnson, who's brought on the Bosa brothers. He brought on Sam Hubbard, Chase Young, you name it, the list goes on. He just landed Edric Houston last year. Yeah, they lost Justin Scott, which sucks and is painful, but he went into the heart of Georgia and said, okay, well, I'm going to land one of these monsters from the heart of Georgia. And, there's only 2 teams doing that. That's Alabama with Nick Saban and Larry Johnson with Ohio State. Those are the only 2 teams doing that. And Larry Johnson pulled that off. You got Brian Hartline, who's absolutely bringing in dogs and dogs and dogs every single year. Even when he loses guys, he is still winning. Okay, that's how he is. And then you have Tony Alford, the best running back. James Peoples, great running back. But you also lost an in-state guy, Jordan Marshall, to Michigan. Let's look at the decommits. Okay, not only did he lose Jordan Marshall, which we already talked about, Justin Scott left, which is painful, but then Larry Johnson goes and lands Edric Houston. Jeremiah McClellan, but he also landed, Brian Hartline goes and lands the number 1 guy in the nation, J.J. Smith, and then he lands the number 12 guy in the country at wide receiver, Mylan Graham. So losing the number 18 doesn't look as bad when you have the number 1 and number 12 guy, right? It's not as painful. Jordan Lyle, they lost Jordan Lyle, who's an absolute beast out of Fort Lauderdale. Okay, painful. Let's go to 2023 and see who he got in 2023. Okay, just go ahead and you tell me when you see it. And this is why I thought he was on the hot seat. No running back in 2023. Could you imagine being in that coaching room with all those coaches, Jim Knowles, Larry Johnson, Brian Hartline, Tim Walton, all those guys, Ryan Day, now you got Chip Kelly in the building, and you're saying, I didn't recruit a single running back in the entire year. And in fact, he lost the one running back that they did invest into, and that's Mark Fletcher. And people will say it's NIL or whatever, but here's the thing. How are these other coaches still doing it? They're not paying all of those guys the NIL money that they want. These guys are taking pay cuts to play at Ohio State. There's plenty of players that have taken pay cuts to play at Ohio State. Why are they not doing it for the running back coach? They're doing it for all the other coaches, but not the running back coach. So I don't think you can just say, well, it's NIL and they just suck on NIL, because then you'll hear in the same breath a Michigan fan will say, well, they're buying their team. Which is it? You can't have your cake and eat it too. So I think that's completely unacceptable to not bring in a single running back, because all that does is put pressure on the head coach and all the coaches and the NIL that, well, we have to go to the transfer portal now. And that costs more money in NIL because it's a proven player. It costs more than going and hitting the recruiting trail. You're going to pay more money for getting Quinshad Judkins than you are for trying to get Mark Fletcher, in my opinion. So let's go to 2022. Who did he pull in 2022? The best running back that he pulled in 2022 was Dallin Hayden. That was it. It was Dallin Hayden, a guy he won't even start. And so, as you can see here, in the last recent years, do you believe yourself that this is acceptable? If you're Michigan and you're hiring this guy, does this look good to you? Because I think Ohio State was going to eventually fire him. I really do. I think that they were going to fire him one way or another. I think he was on the hot seat because he simply could not produce the depth. I mean, not only can you not produce depth, but you have to make us go to the transfer portal just to fill the depth chart because you are that bad at recruiting in recent years. And so to me, I think he's a great coach. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying at the recruiting level that is needed for a top program, I don't think he's coming close to the Alabama running back coach, the Georgia running back coach, or any of those, even Michigan's running back coach. I don't think he's to that level. And so I think that Michigan got a good deal or didn't get a good deal. I think he got a good deal from Michigan. I think he got the best deal he was going to get, because I don't think an SEC team that's looking at the same thing that we're looking at here would go, man, he's really the guy that we need at all costs. Like, he is a top 5, top 3 best running back coach in the land. I don't think you can say that. I really don't. I think you could prove otherwise pretty quickly. So let us know what you guys think down below. I'm not trying to burst the bubble of Michigan fans, and I'm not trying to say he's a bad coach by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying at a recruiting level, at a program at Ohio State, I think it should be better.